You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shemaiah Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shemaiah Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. We're here once again today. We have two special guests. We have Pastor Chad Schapiro and his amazing wife, Erica Schapiro. First and foremost, I have to give a little backdrop story. This guy has been supporting the show since it was a baby. We're talking about 2017 at the barbershop on Babcock Road. Shout out to the owner, Rico Rodriguez. He's still a friend of the show on Refocused Radio. But I have to brag about Chad Schapiro because he supported us when we were nobodies. I'm talking about at the barbershop, we had refreshments, we had breakfast on our episodes, and he believed in what we were doing, and he took time out of his hectic schedule. It never changed, but he took time to believe in what we were doing and allow us to interview him a couple of times. I think it was about 3 times maybe, but he is such a supporter. And I just want to take some time to say, if it wasn't for Pastor Chad and his wife supporting us, like many people took time to do it, we would not be where we are today on Refocused Radio. I mean, literally, people have been joking and saying, Shemaiah, barbershop to the top. Well, we are on the 12th floor now.
We are.
But I just want to take the moment before I let him take the floor and say I appreciate you and your wife supporting us in the early game, because we're still here, and it's because of people like you. So I appreciate that, man.
Hey, our pleasure. You were doing so great then. I'm not surprised that it blew up. And here we are. We're up here, and it was a blessing then, still a blessing to so many now. And to have it go even bigger just means more people get to be blessed by it. So I just pray that God continue to use it in incredible ways to be able to glorify Him. And thank you for putting so much time and effort into it to be able to help so many people.
So let's catch up the audience, because now we're not just on a podcast, man. We're on radio and we're on video. So for our viewers and our listeners, Chad, if you can, walk us through some of the updates that you've been going through, because I understand as well, we was talking in the green room, that you've been doing a lot of mini projects and you have some events down the road. So if you can, kind of catch up the audience on what's been going on in y'all's world.
Yeah, and I'm so blessed to be here with my beautiful wife, because we have been in ministry together throughout this whole journey that we've been on, married for over 20 some years. God called us into ministry probably maybe 8 years ago to plant a church. Planting a church is not easy, and we did it the hard way, the really hard way, like a few people in a YMCA trying to get momentum, and God was good. And along the way, as we built that, God opened other doors to be here in the studio. Helped out, because I was here behind a mic, and the San Antonio Baptist Association saw that. They opened up their own studio. They hired me to come in there and to help with their studio, which turned into helping teach church planters in San Antonio, which I learned so much for myself, but also to be able to help them. And then something that we were doing back then called Pastor Strong, which is a holistic health for pastors that are getting burnt out, stressed, and so mind, body, physical, finances, everything. So I was dealing with all those different things at the same time. And then they're all growing, and one finally kind of took over the rest. Texas Baptist called, said, we want Pastor Strong to go statewide. There's an area representative role, full-time open in San Antonio. Would you consider that? And so we made that transition. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. Along those lines, people started asking to help with marriage ministry, to come to their churches to speak on behalf of marriage. We both got our doctorates with our focus dissertations on marriage. And so we put those projects together. People were asking for retreats at their churches. And so we put it together, made a nice booklet. And so now we've been doing retreats with Pastor Strong for Texas Baptist, also churches and associations in this region. And so we have one coming up actually in Sutherland Springs, where the whole association, not just one church, but Gambrel and Gonzales is called the South Central Baptist Association. Everybody's welcome. are coming. And so we're working hand in hand with the San Antonio Marriage Initiative on building a network of churches that want to grow in marriage ministries in their churches, but maybe are lacking the tools, support. And so we're helping Pastor Strong and San Antonio Marriage Initiative to build that. And that's been such a blessing. So a lot of fun things, but couldn't be able to do it without this young lady sitting next to me, beautiful lady.
Yeah,
so,
okay. Hey, I'm going to take a beautiful young. This is why we're married.
you are.
Yeah.
And so,
it's a partnership.
Yeah, we get to do this together, which has been such a blessing.
Well, once again, listening and watching us online, Refocused Radio, talking to our two special guests, Pastor Chad Schapiro and his wife, Erica Schapiro. And Erica, I want to get you in.
Yeah.
When you understand how much it takes behind the scenes to support Chad and support people in your life, right? Because mothers, wives, they play a strong role as being the background, being the glue, if you will, for the family. Yeah. Touch on that and what some of the things you learned along the way being with Pastor Chad as y'all have seen the growth of your ministry.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, he is a man who does a lot of things. And that's just the way God has wired him. And we're thankful for that. And my family understands that. But there is a lot of juggling. We're parents and our girls are very active in sports. And so there's a lot of scheduling, a lot of work, a lot of balance, a lot of communication that we have to do together. I feel like that's just foundation, communication in any relationship, really, but especially in a marriage. And so, just kind of helping and seeing where God has opened doors and doing it together. So, it's been great.
And that's a perfect segue into getting more deeper in the topic of marriage. So I'm going to pass it to Pastor Chad. If you can, when you look at the experiences that you've been able to create platforms that educate people about marriage and I'm sure it's a different buffet line of giving them tools and resources to help them navigate those hardships, if you will. What's some of the things that you are learning from the community that you're serving as far as maybe some common patterns of struggles that they're facing with marriage?
Wow. So we're blessed to be able to see it in two different ways. One is the marriage itself, just the husband and the wife, and get to give them tools and support, conflict resolution. When you're working in close quarters with each other, you're going to step on each other's toes, and that definitely happens in the home. A lot of opportunity for stress, and maybe we have never been taught to handle conflict very well, and emotions start to get high. We just revert back to our old habits. And what we've seen growing up, which maybe wasn't the best, and we just do what feels right, but it's not necessarily anything that's productive. And so we try to deal a lot with conflict resolution, communication, like my wife said, critical. I mean, there's so many areas of marriage. Finances are being merged together. How do you handle all of that?
Different personalities, different expectations, and blending those two together. Yeah. And a family, had kids, and all the other extra things. And
intimacy, tons of different issues. So what we try to do in our time together, depending upon how much time we have with an audience, we're not really set to counsel people one-on-one. We're more in a group setting, where we're talking to multiple couples at one time, like a retreat or like a Friday night kind of marriage potluck or something, which I'm a big fan of because it creates an easy rhythm for these churches to do. So we're usually talking to a group, and we will, depending on how much time we have, we will, we have a booklet that goes over a checklist where they can kind of check up where they have a test that they take. So it starts to show them, oh man, I'm lacking in this area. We're stressing with conflict problems, or we're stressing with trust issues, or whatever it may be. And then we get into the material based on that, if that's their issue. And so it's been really productive. So dealing with the couples, but we also have a big challenge where marriage ministries themselves in the churches are almost most of the time non-existent, and really it could be or should be the foundation of the whole church. But we know from being church planters that usually the pastor gets burnt out, stressed, overloaded with trying to preach on Sunday, trying to hold it all together, trying to maintain the children's and the youth, and like the bills and everything. So leading a marriage ministry is hard for them, and it feels like it's just an added ministry that maybe they weren't even called to, and they might not be. But that's why I'm so excited about building a network of churches locally to help go forward into that, because the unchurched people in the apartments, in the houses, all around, if they wanted to be church, if they wanted to study the Bible, they would be in there, right, with a notepad ready to go. So how do you reach them if that's not the case, which obviously it's not, otherwise they'd be there. So marriage, they're fighting, they're stressing, they're dealing with that every day. And if you can help them with their marriage, they will come from the apartment, from the house, from wherever it is, into the building. And if they start to become fed there spiritually with this, with helping them with their marriage, then they're one step closer to becoming family in the body of Christ. And so that's why I'm so excited. To me, it's an outreach tool. It's not just an added, hey, we're going to have a whatever that distracts us or loses our, takes more energy. No, this is how you're going to build your church. And most pastors, that's what they care about, is building their church. They're working so hard to serve the community and they want it to grow. Well, this is a tool to help it grow, but they don't know how to do that at all. And so we can come alongside with a whole year program to design, to say, this is what you do the first couple months, and this is what you do the next couple months, this is what you do after that, and use tools that are already out there, not our content only, but there's incredible things that are out there, like Focus on the Family, which we have the opportunity to speak at soon, that's coming to San Antonio. There's tools incredible stuff that would change lives, but there's not a system and anything set up to do that. So those are the two ways that we look at it, is like help the actual couples when we have the blessing of being able to lead a retreat or of some kind, and then also coming alongside the churches themselves to build a whole new marriage ministry, or even if they already have one, how can we make it better?
And for you, Erica, when you think about what builds and contributes to a strong family in a household, I mean, there's not one family on the planet that has a perfect household, that has perfect people in that house. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you've been able to learn over the years that helped encourage you, that even if there's challenges that come inside the family, there is also maybe hidden blessings or teachable moments that encourage you to stay strong together?
Yeah, for sure. You're right. There is no perfect marriage. Ours is not. I know we teach on marriage, but our marriage is not perfect either. Do we have just heated discussions and all of that, as people call them? Yes, we do, and that's normal. But just working together, and we've seen it's in ministry, just seeing that even if you're in the church, or if you're working in the church, or if you're attending the church, that we're just seeing those families struggle, and knowing, and it kind of like normalizes things, like, okay, it's not me, or it's not just our family that maybe is going through some things. And really those challenges can make us stronger if we allow them to, and allow us to like grow through them. And because we have had some challenges in our own marriage, whether it be, infertility and miscarriages and tragedies that have happened. But just those are the moments where we were able to grow closer together and grow closer to Christ, really, and just depend on our faith and grow closer together. So through those moments and challenges, if you're having challenges and you think like, oh no, I'm all alone, you're not alone. And if we can just be authentic and vulnerable and go to somebody that you trust, you can't just tell everybody our issues or problems, especially if you're a leader. We deal a lot with leaders and maybe they don't know, like, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Who do I turn to? Am I going to be judged? there is a community, and that's why we build, are so thankful for, as he mentioned, Pastor Strong, and just a place where people, maybe you're not a pastor or a minister, but there's somewhere where you could go and be in a community to encourage you during whatever struggles that you may be going through. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm so thankful for Texas Baptist and the San Antonio Marriage Initiative. They were already partnering up before we were in the role at all to help with Pastor Strong. They were already doing marriage retreats together locally because, like you mentioned, the pastors usually, they don't want to talk openly to their congregation about their marital struggles that they have because they're trying to lead well. They don't always have relationships with the churches near them because they're so focused on their own calling, usually in that church. And so they become a little bit isolated, and there's nowhere to go with the struggle that they have. Depending on the denomination or whoever it is, they might feel bad talking to people above them in different ways because it makes them look bad that they're fighting with their spouses. And so it's a really tough situation. So Pastor Strong has created this opportunity to have these retreats. And then just as things continue to grow, we've been asked to step into this space. And then it's great when these churches wonder, hey, we're all partnering together in this convention. What are some things that, we can utilize from the convention, from you guys to be able to bless our church for being partners. Hey, I see you guys are doing all this stuff. Can you come help us in this area? And that's how God started to open the doors for us to help leading and doing our own marriage ministries for them.
Once again, listen to Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to Pastor Chad Schapiro and his wife, Erica Schapiro. My next question for you, Chad, is someone who's listening to this or watching to this episode right now, maybe they feel like, man, I just been going through it. What will you say to them and maybe let them know, hey, I'm still going through stuff, maybe myself? And how do you stay encouraged?
Yeah. Well, we all go through it. We all, like my wife did a great job of saying, we all go through it. That's the first thing, right? Because if you think everybody's got it so great, and that's the problem sometimes with not being, open and honest. And that's why I appreciate you, Shemaiah, and this program, because you've always tried to get at the authentic truth of, what people are dealing with. Because when you look at social media and everybody's taking pictures of their fine, date nights and going on vacations, and they're all,
polished.
Everything's perfect. Yeah, polished. Like the filters are in full effect. And it can make you think, man, what's wrong with me? I'm sitting here dealing with this mess, right? And the truth is, everybody's messed up, and so. That's one thing, is make sure you're learning from people that are being real with you, so you don't get stuck thinking that you're just the oddball, that somehow God missed you or you made a mistake or whatever. So the other thing is understand what covenant really means in a Christian marriage, if you are a Christian, and where marriage came from the Bible. The concept and the institution of marriage was not to be married because of what you could get out of it. That's kind of one of the problems with a lot of churches anyway, is, I'll go to church for what I can receive instead of I'm going to church to be part of a family of faith, to bring my gift to the table, to bring my energy, my money, to be able to be part of the family, to reach more. We don't always do that. We think, oh, what am I going to get out of it? Well, guess what? We take that same thing into the marriage, where what can I get out of it? So all of a sudden, if it's not fun anymore, we think, oh, just like I was with my old girls back in the day, right? And it wasn't that great. I'm going to go on to the next one, and and if that's not good, the next one is, it's not. I'm married till death do us part. Is married till I don't want to be married anymore, and so we don't have that covenant. And guess what happens if you don't have that covenant? If you don't have that burn the ships mentality, where this one historic story, they took the battleships over to the new place to win into the land, and they all got off the ships and they went into the land, and then the captain burned the ships, so there was no way back out. They had to go forward and beat everybody to be able to survive. Well, that's what it takes in marriage. It's just sometimes we always have these side door, back door windows to jump out to try to change things. And then our minds, start thinking about that every time a conflict comes up or something's not going our way. And when you can shut those and say between the two of you, like, that's off the table. If one of us are hurt, that's why God brought us together, to care for the other, right? If one of us are, let's say, dealing with any kind of hurt, could be physical, it could be mental, it could be financial, it could be whatever. Well, God brought you together maybe for a time just such as this. And that's not a reason to fail. That's a reason to press in. And so those are a couple things. Just don't get stuck thinking everybody's got it so good and that you're missing out. And then the covenant thing, it really, we can take a little problem and magnify it real quick in a marriage, right? Like make it gigantic, especially if there's no commitment. And all of a sudden now it's like, hey, and then guess what? That other person you're looking at or even thinking about being by yourself seems so great when you're dealing with the messy stuff at home. But guess what? Once you're in that new situation, it's going to get messy too all of a sudden, right? And so I always joke around like, hey, I've been married 40 times. What's wrong with these ladies? You know what I mean? There's something wrong with all of them. Like, no, there's something wrong with you.
Which
right?
You haven't. You've only been married.
I have not, right? Yeah.
He has not been married.
Yeah. But it's that idea, right? Like, hey, boom, boom, yeah. It's all their fault. So those are some key things. Be in fellowship with some people that are really striving in the same direction. And that's where truly the church can be absolutely amazing. We get so worried about the worship. We get so worried about the preaching, but no one really talks that much about where real learning happens, which is when I'm sitting there, in the parking lot watching how you treat your spouse or your kids, or how when we go to serve the community and I get to see that, or a potluck, and we learn so much outside of just taking notes on a Sunday morning preaching. We get to see living sermons in the church, hopefully good and sometimes bad. And that's where our marriages can really grow, is when you have some older couples that have done it. They didn't get away easy either. They had some really hard times. But when you're fellowshipping with them, seeing their lives, it can put it in a lot better perspective. That's something that the church body can do that maybe the world can't do as easy.
I got a t-shirt for you. Don't bail, press in. Because last thing, I'll give you both a chance to answer this question, and that is not to be too spiritual, but in context, the Bible, when it talks about iron sharpens iron, how do you see each other sharpening each other and being each other's supporters?
Yeah, well, in marriage, when you're in close proximity with someone, you're going to rub iron, that requires like rubbing up against each other, and that's not always fun, and it's not always nice, and it doesn't always feel good. But as iron sharpens iron, like you said, that's how it becomes sharper. You become more effective. And so that's where I feel like God designed marriage to help us. It's an opportunity to work out our salvation. Yeah. The things that we really believe about the Bible, goodness or kindness, or, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, I have to love myself first. Well, I have to, how am I acting that out? Am I really loving my spouse? Well, am I, it's just where we get to like act out and refine our character in godly character. So that's what I think that I love about marriage. Yeah. It's not always easy, but it grows. It helps us to grow.
Yeah, salvation is a decision, according to the Bible. It's a decision that to put your faith in Jesus Christ, that he died and he rose again, and that you believe that with your heart. Sanctification is a fancy word for becoming more like Christ, and that is not an easy thing, and that's not a decision that happens in one day. That's that constant iron sharpening iron, like you mentioned, Shemaiah. And so you don't do that anywhere more than in the house with your spouse, of continuously growing and to have more patience, to have more peace, to be able to be more sacrificial, right? Again, we are so selfish if we're honest with ourselves. And so to continue to be more like Christ, who died for us, sacrificed himself for us. We are supposed to be doing that as husbands. The wives are supposed to be living in respect for their husbands, and that's not easy, right? Either, because the husbands sometimes don't deserve it sometimes, but God doesn't say respect them when they deserve it. And God doesn't say love them, husbands, and lay your down life for them when they deserve it, because that would never happen. We never would deserve it. So it's always of self-sacrificing, not being selfish, continuing to grow. And the hardest relationship that will make you grow the most is that one with your spouse. And it can be the most fun too, but that's where, it just constantly takes work and investing into it. And why would we invest? Think about the people that are working out so hard in the gym, right, to look physically all right, where they took 2 weeks off or a month off, right? They'd probably be out of shape again, but here's the most important relationship in their lives, and they're not investing as much time in that. It's a shame, and we got to try to help our culture change it, because then our kids get raised up seeing that, and then they get married and do the same thing.
Well, once again, been listening to Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our special guests today, two of them, Pastor Chad Schapiro and his wife, Erica Schapiro. Before we sign out, someone watching, someone listening, they hear about all this and like, okay, what's the next event? What you got on your schedule, on your calendar, your speaking engagements or events coming in the future? What's the best place that they can go to see those updates? And if you have something that you have to tease, share that with us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think for us, Pastor Strong, TX on Facebook, Instagram, right, is where we put a lot of the pastor events. So if you are a pastoral leader that is in San Antonio, that could be a blessing to you. Or if you're looking to, how would you build a network like that in a different community outside? Because again, Texas Baptist is we're working diligently to take that statewide with the convention that has 5,300 churches throughout Texas, and so maybe that could be a good place for you there. We have a website and a Facebook presence. Connect. It was marriage.getconnected.church. Is that right? We're just getting our calendar built on that. Marriage.getconnected.church, because a lot of people are trying to contact us about scheduling different retreats and different things. And so we're putting some details on there, as well as the website on Facebook. We're just getting that set up too. What was the name for that?
Connect Marriage Ministry. Again, it's like you mentioned, new. It's just new doors that God has been opening for us. So we're like, you know what? God is opening this door. Let's continue to invest in that. It's we have a heart and passion for that and for families, not just marriages, but how it affects the whole family and other families and society in general. So yes. But go to Connect Marriage Ministry on social media, and we're going to keep you updated there.
Yeah, there's fun things like I mentioned, Sutherland Springs that's coming up, and it's driving distance for if anybody is in San Antonio. I know the audience might be all over the place, but we love doing things like that. There's more coming into the spring already, and so we're seeing that as churches and associations see others pressing into this topic with us, they're like, hey, what does that take? How can I come and do it? And so really simply, and then sometimes it's just like I mentioned at the beginning, our first introduction to marriage ministry was Mighty Fortress Church here in San Antonio, that every once a month, on a Friday, they have a potluck, they have a speaker. So they asked me to come in and speak for half an hour. They played some games with the married couples, invited everybody they could, their friends that were married, and they just ate, have fun, and that rhythm just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every month for them. And so it could be something as simple as that we could help with.
Well, once again, been talking to Pastor Chad Schapiro and his wife, Erica Schapiro. We'll have all the links that we can gather and put in the show notes for y'all, so it's easy for you to click through and support what they're doing. And hopefully, 6 months, a year from now, we can get them back on the show again, get some more updates. So once again, like I always want to say to you both, thank you for your time.
God bless you.
Thanks.
Appreciate you and your show.
We had fun.